Skip Bayless commented on Damar Hamlin's situation. So I'm going to go ahead and read off what he had to say about it. No doubt that the NFL is considering postponing the rest of the game. But how? This is late in the season. A game of this magnitude is crucial to the regular season outcome, which is suddenly seems so irrelevant. Skip's in trouble.
With a game of this magnitude, it's very difficult to postpone it. Yet the end of my tweet was, it was all rendered irrelevant by what was happening on the football field in front of all those football players. They were shaken to their foundations. Nothing is more important than that young man's health. That was the point of my last tweet. I'm sorry if that was misunderstood, but his health is all that matters. The NFL has done exactly the right thing. They have postponed. I have no idea how they're going to make this game up, and I don't care. This is all that matters.
I don't think he sounded sincere in that at all. Just like based on his first tweet, like he did the follow-up tweet basically just to save face. But it's like, come on, Skip. You know what you meant by the first clip. Like, just stand on it, Skip. It's just kind of insensitive, if we're being honest here. Because, I mean, the dude almost died on field.
We don't really know the underlying cause yet. It could be a number of things, but the most likely is this arrhythmogenic phenomenon that happens when you have blunt chest trauma as the heart is going through its phases. If that's the case, he would have been shocked, intubated, and now it's a matter of seeing how much damage happened to the brain.
Obviously, that's terrible. The whole team is basically hinged. Like, if you look at the camera footage, like, you can just look at how Stephon Diggs looks. Like, I mean, everybody's just not in the right headspace. So I definitely think that him laying down that statement was very insensitive. I do understand why he said it, because he's like, okay, regardless, the game is the game. You should just move on. But I think when you're dealing with sensitive situations like that and you show such a lack of, I guess, care for humans, that it's easy for someone to look at Skip Bayless and be like, wow, you just have no empathy for anybody. If that was your kid, you know, you want everything to stop. You know, you'd want the commercials to stop over something like that. Right now in the next clip, you're definitely going to see how that unfolds.
We will show you this play only once. Hamlin made a tackle on Bengals receiver T. Higgins, an otherwise normal play in this game. Hamlin rose, took a couple of uneasy steps, then collapsed backwards. He was immediately attended to by medical personnel on the field who administered CPR and oxygen for several minutes before he was placed in an ambulance and taken to the University of Cincinnati Medical Center. Several players were visibly emotional and shaken up on the field. The NFL eventually made the decision to suspend tonight's game until a future date.
I understand what Skip's saying. Skip is basically saying that regardless of what happens, you should move him off the field and the show should go on regardless. So I understand that. It's just insensitive. So I got to be honest with y'all real quick. I actually like Skip, right? I know a lot of people dislike Skip. I like Skip. One of the things that moderators have to do when you're a commentator on these shows that you normally have to argue, right? But Skip in this case has just gone way too far. You have to let people finish what they're saying. Just the fact that he has such a need to be right in this clip to the point where he's just like, all right, well, let me just defend myself. It's like, let Shannon finish talking.
There's been a lot of speculation of why I wasn't on air yesterday, and I won't get into speculation or conjecture, innuendo, but I will say this. In watching that game on Monday night, what happened to Damar Hamlin struck me a little different. Skip tweeted something, and although I disagree with the tweet, and hopefully Skip would take it down, but I didn't want it.
Well, time out. I'm not going to take it down because I stand by what I tweeted.
Skip, let me finish.
All right, okay.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
Go ahead, let's go, Jen.
Okay.
I mean, I cannot even get through a monologue without you interrupting me.
Well,
you could have came back, Skip.
Well, I thought,
Skip, just let.
I didn't know you were going to bring up.
No, I was just going to say, Skip, I didn't want to yesterday to get into a situation where Damar Hamlin was the issue. We should have been talking about him and not get into your tweet. That's what I was going to do. But you can't even let me finish my opening monologue without you interrupting.
Okay. I was under the impression you weren't going to bring this up because nobody here had a problem with that tweet.
No. Clearly, the bosses wanted you to offer explanation, so clearly somebody.
No, they did not have. Nobody.
Let's go, Jen.
Let him finish saying what he has to say. And Skip is just automatically just, like, Skip, listen, we get that you want to stand by what you say. And I actually respect the fact that he's standing by what he says. I disagree with the statement because it's incredibly insensitive. We're just being honest here. You almost died on the field.
So I actually am not the biggest fan of Skip Bayless for a lot of reasons. I used to be a fan of Skip Bayless when he was on First Take. This particular situation, I might have an unpopular opinion. I do think that Skip showed a lack of empathy and a lack of care for what the situation was on the field. And again, that goes back to him being a crazy sports fanatic.
Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. is back.
This man lives and breathes sports. He told his wife that she comes second to his sports.
I'm married to this. Then I met my wife, Ernestine. On our first date, as she will attest, I said, hey, if this happens to go anywhere, I'm sorry, but I'm declaring myself up front. You'll always be number 2 to my job. She'd like to say now she's become 1A, but only 1A to my obsession.
That just gives you the idea of what kind of fanatic Skip is. So I wasn't surprised by his tweet. He tried to save it at the end by saying seems irrelevant now, because he probably knew when he was typing it that this might not be popular. With that being said, first and foremost, obviously what is the most important thing is to ensure that Damar Hamlin is taken care of. They got his heart started again. They got him on the breathing machine. They took him to the hospital. I don't necessarily know that I think the game should have been stopped. Only because, and that's not to downplay the severity of what happened with Damar. I will say this. I do think that the game should have been stopped if the players said that we're so distraught and shaken that we can't continue. But if it was the league stopping it just because they wanted to make sure they came across as being empathetic, I mean, I don't know.
I mean, I think that's a good point to make, though, is if the players have a problem with it, then it should be stopped opposed to the entire league.
If the players are too emotional to play,
yeah.
If the players are too emotional to play, I totally understand that completely. Stop the game. If it's just the NFL doing it to save face, and I think that's what I'm getting at now.
You're viewing it more as an NFL thing opposed to being players.
It seems to me that the NFL, there's a lot of fakeness going on. It seems. And when I say fakeness, I don't want to be disparaging in what I'm saying. But in other words, when I say fakeness, I mean how you just said you thought Skip didn't sound sincere.
Yeah, he didn't sound sincere at all.
The NFL stopping a game, to me, I don't know. They're trying to save face to the public. Even Skip's boss saying, "Hey, you need to address this on the show," which she did. To me, sounds everyone's trying to get in front of the situation because they don't want it to blow up in public opinion. It's all to save face. And listen, I get it. People are sensitive nowadays as far as when it comes to this kind of stuff. I just don't know if assuming that the players were good enough to play, which maybe it didn't seem like they were, which fine, stop the game. But if they were good enough to play and the NFL just stopped it just because it was a bad PR look, I don't know.
Okay, so I see what you're saying. You're saying that you don't have a problem with them stopping the game. Okay, so we're basically agreeing. So we're basically saying you don't have a problem stopping the game if the players agreed and they're too distraught to start the game again. But if it's just the NFL trying to save face and trying to make themselves look good because they've had a bad reputation for the longest time, then you're not with it. Like I said, I don't really have a problem with Skip's tweet. If that's how he felt, that's how he felt. It's insensitive, but I mean, if that's how you felt, I like that he stood on it before, but I got kind of annoyed the fact that he's trying to take it back and make it seem like that's not what he meant when we all know that's exactly what you meant when you said it. That's why I said it seems fake. Don't just try to like backwalk it. Like, no, I meant the only thing that's important in his life. No, you didn't. You didn't. And listen, I think you should be more empathetic, but you're not. I mean, I can't say anything else about it. Like I said, I think it's ultimately a player's thing. If the players say, listen, I don't want to play after this, it's too much. That was my brother on field. Cool. If they're like, yo, I still want to rock it. Let's get it. Then I'm like, okay, cool. But ultimately, it's a player's decide. It's not Skip's decision to decide, but it's a free country. What you going to do about it?
That's a good point. And what are we going to do about it? Seems like we're living in a culture now where you force things. Like forcing an apology or forcing someone to make a statement or forcing someone to go back on what they said. It's like, no, don't force anyone to do anything. Unless you're putting someone's life in danger, which Skip wasn't. He's behind his computer, his phone, tweeting. It doesn't matter. Let him say what he wants to say. I get he's a public figure. He has a voice. He has a platform. He has influence, I guess. So maybe that's why. But you know what it is? It's the people above. His boss is saying, apologize. Otherwise, Skip wouldn't come on there doing all that. Because he's just a fanatic.
That's a good point, though. That is, like, it could have just been his boss that made him do the forced apology. Because you could see earlier when he had the energy for Shannon, though. He was like, no, I'm not apologizing.
Oh, yeah.
So he has some energy towards it.
What's your final take on this? What's your final? I think we're probably repetitive at this point.
Pretty much. I mean, my final take is if the players want to still go with the game, let them go with the game. If they don't, then don't. Ultimately, it's all unfortunate. I wish the best for him. And like I said, I hope everything else turns out right. But I don't think Skip deserves to get fired because people are calling for him to get fired and all this other nonsense. And I'm like, nah, bro. They're commentators. People got to say whatever they want to say, bro. It's a free country.
I agree with you 100%. This whole cancel culture stuff, and look, I know it's a hot topic. I'm not going to say, let me just say this. I do not think that Skip should lose his job for his tweet. I'll leave it at that.
All right, guys, and we'll leave you guys with this. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know if we're tripping in the comments, man. You hate us? You like my opinion? Leave a comment. You like his opinion? Leave a comment. You hate both of our opinions? Leave a comment and a like.